I truly enjoy it and I truly look forward to it, and I actually don't have any pain during this phase. She could not believe how much of a difference it made within 1 month of eliminating. It really is self-love and self-respect when you understand your body as a woman and you honor it during the different phases of your menstrual cycle. Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I am not only excited for today's video, but I'm also very proud for today's video because I used to be the girly who used to hate, absolutely hate her periods. And so before we get into talking about how I honor and nurture my body during my menstrual phase, we have to go back in time to when I was in high school, where I had literally the most debilitating, painful periods ever. So much so that I would literally throw up and I would have to miss school or work, and it eventually led me to go on birth control. Now, if you guys have been around my channel for a while, you know I have tons of videos and literally a whole playlist about my birth control journey and my journey coming off birth control. But little spoiler alert, birth control literally was just a band-aid for my painful periods. It didn't fix the actual issue. It actually wrecked my health even more. It gave me a receding hairline, let's just say that. So go watch those videos. If you are having some weird symptoms, if you're on birth control, or if you're trying to decide if birth control is for you, I'll have it linked down below. But I will never go back on birth control. And so I have been off birth control for a few years now. And since coming off birth control, I educated myself on my body as a woman and what is going on throughout the whole entire month of my menstrual cycle. This kind of goes hand in hand with the other videos that I made about cycle syncing. If you didn't know, ladies, we go through a hormonal roller coaster ride throughout the whole entire month. It is broken down into 4 different phases, and then one of the phases being your menstrual phase, aka your period where you are bleeding. And so that is what today's video is all about, because I feel like this phase is the most talked about phase, because a lot of women in today's society are experiencing some very, very painful periods, so much so that they don't look forward to it, that they hate it, and so on and so forth. I know it might seem crazy to say, but I actually enjoy my period. I actually look forward to this phase because this phase is pivotal, obviously, as a woman, and a lot is going on. Our body is literally going through a crazy internal process during this phase. And so to learn and understand it and then honor and nurture it, I truly enjoy it and I truly look forward to it, and I actually don't have any pain during this phase, which is, again, so crazy to say coming from someone who literally used to be in a fetal position and throw up when my period came around every single month. So before we get into how I honor and nurture my body during this phase, we have to talk about what is going on during this phase. So again, when I say phase, it is your menstrual phase, is the phase in the month, the week in the month where you are actively bleeding. And so going back to cycle syncing, each phase of your cycle, a lot of people consider it as different seasons. So your menstrual phase is considered your winter phase. And so when you think of the season of winter, what do you think of? You think of hibernation, you think of, you know, staying in, being warm. So I want you to look at your period or your menstrual phase as the season of winter, and that's gonna help you better understand the rest of what I'm gonna be talking about. And so to get into the actual scientific process of what's going on in our body as a woman during this phase, you are shedding your uterine lining, and your uterine lining has been building up throughout the rest of the month before your period. And so when there's not a fertilized egg during ovulation, so that's when you're ovulating, your egg drops, and that's when you're most susceptible to conceiving, if you know what I mean. But when there is not a fertilized egg, that is when your uterine lining is shedding, and that is when you bleed. Hence why when you miss your period, a lot of women automatically think they're pregnant, because that's one of the biggest symptoms, is that you're not shedding your uterine lining because there is a fertilized egg. So that is the little scientific background of what is going on in our body. And I know it sounds super like cut and dry, plain and simple. Our lining is coming out of us. Yeah. I know this whole video is going to be a little TMI, but so many little things you wouldn't think of in our whole entire body, from other organs to other hormones, that play a pivotal role in order for us to bleed. So when I say it is a crazy internal process, it is a crazy internal process. Now let's talk about things that I do to honor and nurture my body for my menstrual phase before I actually actively bleed. And so this is what I call my pre-period prep. I dare you to say that 3 times fast, but these are things that I do before my period to help me have a pain-free period, but also to set my body up for success for when I do have my period, if that makes sense. So the first thing that I do every single day, and it's gonna sound crazy, but we're gonna talk about the science behind of it, it is eating raw carrots every single day. I actually learned about this through social media. So social media can be a good thing, but I did not believe it. And so I decided to do a little experiment myself. And so I ate raw carrots every single day for a whole month, or leading up to my period. And let me tell you, I did not even notice my period. Yes, I was bleeding, of course, so I noticed that, but I did not have any cramps. I had no breakouts. I literally had a symptom-free period, besides the fact that I was bleeding, of course, and actually my periods were shorter. Then I was like, okay, maybe it's something else that I'm doing. So the next month I was also very busy. I didn't eat as much raw carrots, maybe here and there, and I did have some cramping. Not intense cramping, but I did notice some other like PMS symptoms. So I'm speaking from experience, and there are so many other testimonials about other girls eating raw carrots to help support a pain-free period. And so this theory, I guess you can say, was actually founded by this doctor, Dr. Pete. Essentially, he did a study, and he found that when his female patients consumed a raw carrot salad once or twice daily, they experienced way less PMS symptoms. Again, the science behind it is that raw carrots contain a unique fiber that binds the endotoxins and excess estrogen and safely eliminates them from the body. So excess estrogen, or otherwise known as estrogen dominance, which is again a hormonal imbalance, is common in women who experience painful and heavy periods, cramping, PMS, acne, weight gain, headaches, and so much more. So that is the whole science behind of it. But again, speaking from experience, eating raw carrots every single day leading up to my period has truly, truly changed the game in terms of nurturing my body or preparing my body for this phase. And so the next thing that I do to prepare my body for my menstrual phase so that I can honor and nurture it and actually enjoy it is that I actually do not eat any gluten, and I also limit dairy and refined sugars. So I have been eliminating gluten and dairy for years now, just because it helps support my health as a whole in different other areas. So let's talk about dairy specifically. So prostaglandins are natural chemicals in the body that cause contractions in the uterus to shed the lining, resulting in your period. However, high levels of that prostaglandin, I hope I'm saying that right, can cause sharp menstrual pains. And so dairy products like ice creams and milk contain arachidonic acid, which increases the prostaglandin levels in the body, therefore causing more cramps. And so that's the science behind of it. But now let's talk about an actual testimonial. So I have a friend who went dairy-free for a whole month because she wanted to clear up her skin, and that was like the first thing so many people have recommended, is to cut out dairy and sugar. And actually the first thing she noticed was, yes, her skin was clearing up, but she had a pain-free period. She could not believe how much of a difference it made within 1 month of eliminating dairy and sugar. And then the next thing that I do for my pre-period prep, and this is the last thing, and it goes hand in hand with cycle syncing, and it is supporting my body through my luteal phase. So this is the phase right before my menstrual phase. So this is like the week and a half before I start my period. So during this phase, your hormones are drastically dropping. So I do not do any high intensity, high impact workouts during this phase, because during this phase, and when you're actively bleeding, your body is incredibly sensitive to stress. And so when you're putting on a lot of stress on your body, whether that's mental stress, physical stress, it will spike your cortisol hormone. Your cortisol hormone is your stress hormone. And so y'all just look up what happens when you have high cortisol levels. And one of them is hormonal imbalances, which then can lead to horrible, painful periods. So during these two phases, this is when you want to really respect and honor your body the most in terms of, limiting stress mentally and physically. I drop the weight, I do low intensity, low impact workouts, and then I also drink a lot of ginger turmeric tea. So ginger and turmeric are anti-inflammatory. I love the Trader Joe's one. It's organic. It's actually very yummy to me. But yeah, I drink that like every single day leading up to my period. And then the next thing that I do to support my body through the luteal phase leading up to my period is listening to my body. Again, this is when my hormones are drastically dropping. My energy is so low. I'm so incredibly tired. And so I listen to my body and honor it. So some ways I do that is by, if I'm so tired, I will take a nap. I won't do anything that's going to cause more stress on my body. Again, going back to what I already talked about, going alongside my hormones rather than against it to support my body and set my body up for success when I start my period. So now let's talk about what I do to honor and nurture my body during my actual period when I'm actually bleeding. So the first thing that I do is I consume a lot of red raspberry leaf tea. So the science behind it is that the polyphenol antioxidants contained in red raspberry leaf plant actually strengthen the uterus and uterine wall, which then reduces your heavy and irregular bleeding during your menstrual phase. But I've noticed that this one specifically has helped with reducing the flow, so my period is not as heavy because of the red raspberry leaf tea. And then the next thing that I do is that I take the first couple days of actively bleeding to do no workouts. Like, I literally do not touch a weight at all. That is saying a lot, because I used to be the girl in the beginning of my fitness journey where, this is gonna get a little deep, but this is where I would not give myself grace and I would push myself to go work out, do these high intensity, high impact workouts, regardless of how I felt during my period. In my mind, I thought that if I did not work out, I will not see results in the gym. It actually did more harm than good. It actually led to putting more stress on my body physically and mentally, because I wasn't giving myself grace and respect, which then led to hormonal imbalances because my cortisol was so high. Now that I know that my body is going through a crazy internal process, and this is part of being a woman, and I need to honor and nurture it and respect my body during this phase, I then give myself more grace. And I don't feel so much guilt if I miss the gym. I actually feel so proud of myself to be able to resist, I guess, the temptation of missing a workout. I actually saw more results in terms of my body composition, in terms of body fat percentage being lowered, in terms of my inflammation is lower, in terms of just so many other different aspects that go into my fitness journey. I saw way more results since giving my body the rest that it needs during this phase rather than pushing myself in the gym. I know this is getting really deep, and some of the parts of this video, it's gonna sound so cheesy. It really is self-love and self-respect when you understand your body as a woman and you honor it during the different phases of your menstrual cycle. And I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, I take the first couple of days of actively bleeding to not work out and just do some light walking and some light stretching, and that is it. And then the next thing that I do during my period to nurture my body more specifically is that I consume a lot of warming foods and broth. And so again, I want you to think of this phase as your winter phase. When it's the winter time, do you eat a lot of cold stuff? No, you eat lots of warming foods like stews and soups and broths and teas because you want to feel warm. It makes you feel better. When you do like cold showers or cold plunges or touch something really cold, notice your body, what it does. You literally contract, your muscles contract, you tense up. If you think about it, is that really going to help already the slight contractions going on in your uterus to help with the shedding of the lining? No, it's not going to help it. So you want to support your body by consuming lots of warming foods, warming drinks. And then the next thing that I do to nurture my body during this phase is that I consume more red meat. So red meat obviously contains iron, and so when you are bleeding a lot, you're obviously losing a lot of iron and other micronutrients. So just replenishing your body with iron by eating red meat is going to benefit you a lot during this phase and not make you feel so depleted. And so I notice I feel way more energetic during my menstrual phase when I do eat red meat. And then the last thing that I do to honor my body during my menstrual phase is that I honor my energy and mood levels. This is when your hormones are drastically dropping. And so when your hormones are drastically dropping, your energy levels are drastically dropping as well. And so when you don't have a lot of energy, you obviously don't have the mood to, go out and do things. You don't feel so social. You don't feel like Little Miss Social Butterfly anymore as you would in your ovulation phase. So during this phase, I limit my social engagements, saying no to things when you don't have the mood or the energy to do so, especially when you just want to be at home, you want to be hibernating during this phase. And then the next thing to honor my energy and mood levels is that I specifically change my work schedule to align with my menstrual cycle. So again, this goes back to cycle syncing. I also cycle sync my work. And so when it comes to my menstrual phase, this is when I save all the mundane, easy tasks like admin work, organizing, maybe doing some planning, just the easy mundane tasks, because again, I don't want to add more mental stress on me during this phase, just so that I can honor myself during this phase. So that is it for today's video. I hope this video helped any of my ladies out there, and I just want to really encourage you, if you don't do it already, to learn and better understand your body as a woman. And once you do that, and once you cycle sync and learn to honor and nurture your body throughout the month where your hormones are drastically changing, I promise you, you will appreciate being a woman even more. And I know in today's society, being a woman can sometimes be incredibly hard, and going through a roller coaster ride of hormones can be literally and physically just draining, but I promise you, we were made for this. Quick little pause to plug this, but if you want to learn more about hormone health as a woman and how to cycle sync and so much more, I definitely recommend checking out my Jumpstart Your Journey guide. I'm very proud of this. I worked on it for over a year, and it is a 140-page self-paced guide and workbook that will teach you everything you need to know on how to start a sustainable and holistic health and fitness journey. So like I said, it literally covers everything from hormone and gut health, to cycle syncing, low toxic living and how that affects your hormones, to nourishment and movement, and so much more. This guide contains everything that I wish I had when starting my health and fitness journey, and the reviews and feedback that I have received from other women who have used this guide has literally brought me to tears. So if you would like to learn more about it, head to the link in my description box. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you or talk to you in my next video. Bye guys.